recording.
Jesus Christ, Phil, please don't let this fall on you while you're doing the setup.
Yeah, that's it's been a rough night in the old recording studio.
It sounds like you're in a factory that's just falling apart around you.
Well, my Laugh Now Monkeys Revenge picture just fell on the floor.
Oh no.
And I was banging my head on the microphone, which is counterindicated when recording a podcast, it turns out. I did this recording with Zach Taylor from Brothers War podcast, and we did most of the building of this deck here. We ended up with something like 140 cards.
What were you doing?
So we're building a deck with all a quote unquote a found deck with all of my found cards, frankly. And it's I have those Stanley cases of cards.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take a picture now and I'll put it in the Discord channel. And we ended up just building this Jund deck with Thantis, the War Weaver. And like I said, it was like 140
spider
characters.
Partner, right?
Yeah, the spider, not partner, the spider.
Not partner, but it's a spider from the Jund deck.
Yeah, the one that basically says all creatures attack each combat if able.
Right. It was from the Windgrace deck.
Yeah. And so I ended up doing that, and we said we would come back to it because he was having trouble seeing it because the webcam was not producing high-res video. Anyway, while we were recording with Sheldon, I just went through all the cards and I cut it down to 63 cards, spells that I want to use. I actually have 64, and there's so much ramp in this, I might be okay with going with only 64. So one of them is Path of Discovery.
That card is great,
isn't it? It's great.
It's really, really, really like that card. That's the one that lets you explore whenever a creature comes to play.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite Ixalan card.
Yeah, I'm just pasting these pictures into the patronii chat too. It's one of my favorite Ixalan cards. I mean, I'm partial to dinosaurs, so when Brawl rotates the dinosaurs out, I'm going to build me a big dinosaur deck. And Path of Discovery's in there. So, of course, a Sylvan Library and Abundance. And
it was funny, at my birthday party, as the party was winding down, me and my friend Bradley decided that we were just going to, jam a game because we didn't want to play a full Commander game. So I grabbed my match set of Brawl decks from the first iteration of Brawl. So it was Kaladesh Amonkhet Standard.
Yeah.
Kaladesh Amonkhet Dominaria, whatever. So I had my Saheeli deck go up against my Alenda Vona deck. And it was just fun grinding them against each other. It was like, wow. I really like the idea of keeping Brawl decks just hermetically sealed. I think it's super fun, and it lets you play in a balanced environment against each other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's irritating because it's like, oh, I want to grab these cards and then build a new Brawl deck out of it. But I don't want to take apart my old Brawl deck, so it's a tough place to be.
Yeah, I'm okay with always building a new Brawl deck for each set.
Brawl is way more fun than people are giving credit for, and I don't know, and it bothers me that everybody's just like, Brawl, whatever, it's a nothing. I'm like, dude, what else you can do with all this freaking draft trash? We all have draft trash, or pre-con trash, or sealed deck trash. There's nothing else to do with it. These cards are never going to see play. Put them in something that'll see play. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
It's like, otherwise you're just throwing money away, man.
Yeah, I mean, after having Jason on, it was apparent we should be just selling our cards.
Seriously. But as a Magic player, sell my cards? What? Why would I do that? Then I would have to buy them again. God knows I've made that mistake a few times.
Yeah, it's true. But there are some cards we're just never going to use, like Death Gorger.
Literally every Golgari card from the last set.
No way, those are awesome.
The Undergrowth ones?
Oh yeah. I'm going to be using Undergrowth in this theoretical Gave deck I'm building.
I should take another look, I guess.
Yeah. And the one that gives counters goes right into any Anafenza deck.
That's true.
There's some good cards in there. I wouldn't discount that. I mean, it's not a Hapatra deck. Like it's not 4 Hapatra decks, but it ain't bad.
Man, Hapatra is basically mono Shadowmoor and mono Amonkhet block.
Yeah.
Like, because those are the only -1/-1 counter decks anywhere. But boy, does that deck just work.
Yeah, it does.
It's so much fun to play. Oh, man. I'm still just like, someone on Reddit was like, man, Shivam only knows how to talk in hyperbole. And, yeah. It's like, well, I mean, you called me out, and it's true. So
Guilty.
I'm like, yes, that is in fact literally yes. That is exactly what I do.
Hey, you need to have lunch with Gavin because he's looking for cards to reprint.
Yeah, I was like, so Findhorn Elf, how is it going, Findhorn Elf?
Did you? But 9 months from now, that's I think that's a commander set. 9 months from now.
I don't know, man. I've been saying we'll see. I mean, I think it's just keying off of the article where he's like, we might have other ways to reprint things. Hey, by the way, tell me what you want reprinted. I mean, the choices I made were like Basalt Monolith. I would love to see a new Basalt Monolith, or
That's a good one. That's a good one.
3 Visits from Portal 3 Kingdoms, which is a really great rampant growth that for some reason costs like $85.
Oh my god!
It has no reason to cost $85. Obviously, everyone wants Oubliette, but I'm like, I don't care about Oubliette. That's just that's a card that's weird, and it's literally just Oblivion Ring, but weird. And
Yeah.
in black, and has no business being there.
Didn't
else did I
it
I
get
wanna-
a simplification in Oracle? Oh no, it's even
No,
wordier.
it's even worse in Oracle. The Oracle text for Oubliette is like 400 pages long. It's like an essay.
One
I
in
want-
black. When Oubliette enters the battlefield, exile target creature and all auras attached to it. Note the number and kind of counters that were on that creature. When Oubliette leaves the battlefield, return that exiled card to the battlefield under its owner's control, tapped with the noted number and kind of counters on it. If you do, return the other exiled cards to the battlefield under their owner's control, attached to that permanent.
I'm sorry, what did you say? I blanked out about 35 minutes ago. Like, that card is just... Like, I get it, Popper wants it because it's a common Oblivion Ring in black, but it is literally the worst written card short of, like, Floral Spasm tells you what to attack. Or like, riding the Dilu horse, the effect never goes away. But, no, like, the cards I picked, Basalt Monolith, because that's a great mono rock. It hasn't been reprinted since, like, 3rd edition. I could use a foil, whatever. The Findhorn Elves from... the 20th edition FTV, because I love that artwork. I want a non-foil version of that artwork. It's a great card. I mean, it's just Lawn Elves, but I don't care. 3 Visits, Rampant Growth, that's awesome. That cost way too much. Dakin Blackblade, because I want to see that card in a brand new frame really, really badly. And Sliver Overlord, because why
Isn't
not?
Sliver Overlord?
No, Sliver
Reserve
Queen
list?
is. Sliver Queen is on the reserve list. Sliver Overlord is not.
Oh.
And I was like, everybody loves slivers.
Basalt Monolith has been reprinted a lot.
Has it?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Since revised edition, it's actually been printed 5 times. In Commander products, mostly.
Okay, well, I want it in a foil then.
Yeah,
'Cause-
that's what we need.
I guess I totally didn't realize that Basalt had been reprinted.
Yeah.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. I still want it.
The new art by Young Hao Han is that as foil would be gorgeous.
And plus, that card is great. You could always use more Basalt Monolith. Let's be real. But no, like Dakin Blackblade. Can you imagine a Dakin Blackblade in a modern frame? That would be so good. That card is so pretty.
Uh, with new art. With new art. They definitely have to do that. I'm sure they don't have the rights to print.
The Richard Kane Ferguson original.
Yeah.
I mean, I want that original art. I love that original art. But whatever. I just love that card. I think that card deserves to be seen again.
Esper Lands Matter. Wow, the Legends version is $60.
Yeah, because it's beautiful.
Oh,
It's like, dude, seriously, the two most popular cards of the olden days that nobody ever talks to are Dak and Blackblade and Sulkanar the Swamp King, which are like two of the greatest artworks in all of Magic.
Yeah, Sulkanar's good.
But I don't know. And then finally is Sliver Overlord, because everybody loves slivers. Everybody wants to play slivers, but the sliver bosses all cost $20 gajillion. And it's just like, oh, I really, really want one. I'm also not willing to pay all of the money I have to get one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It's actually, this one's really good.
Yeah, that's the one that lets you turn things or get a sliver out of your deck, right?
It's only $12 though.
Why does my mind tell me that it cost more than that?
I don't know.
Maybe it did once.
I think you're thinking of the Queen.
The Silver Queen cost an absurd amount of money.
Yeah, I lucked out. I found one for pennies and I bought it a while ago. It's still only $61 though.
Only.
Yeah, it's a lot of, but it's a reserve list card that's pretty popular in Commander.
That's why I'm saying it would be nice to reprint the two Sliver bosses that we can. Sliver Overlord and Sliver whatever the dude was from M15.
The Hive Lord?
Yeah.
It was a terrible card.
It was fine. They boffed Slivers really badly.
Now I kind of want to look at my Legends collection and see if I have a deck on.
Dude, I love Dak and Blackblade.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite original cards. Dakin, Sulkanar, and the 5 Elder Dragons. But I know I've got like the Chronicles one that I cracked. I think I have a Legends one, but if I don't, I want a Legends one.
Oh. Just the other day, Raina was she texted me, and she said, "Hey, if you're not already using it, you should consider Hellfire, right? For your Anafenza deck, because Hellfire, if a non-black creature goes to the graveyard, you have to pay 3 life, like the caster of Hellfire. But of course, Hellfire avoids all of that. And I looked at it, and I'm like, well, Damnation is better because Hellfire is like 2 and 3 black." With the downside, and then I looked at the price, and it's a $68 card. And I'm like, oh, right, reserve list.
Hellfire?
Yeah. I mean, as soon as you see it, you'll be like, oh yeah, I know that card. I'm doing it, Shivam. I'm looking at all my Legends cards.
Oh, gracious. Hellfire, 2 black, sorcery, destroy all non-black creatures. Hellfire deals X plus 3 damage to you, where X is the number of creatures that died this way. That sounds bad.
That's not great.
It hammers you. I mean, I guess it leaves all your creatures alive.
It's tricksy.
It feels like a very black card.
Yeah.
And I guess if you played it with something that gives you life when things go to the graveyard.
Well, you are playing black.
Okay, so let's say you play this like Zulaport Cutthroat or some aristocracy build. It'll negate most of the damage you take and also drain them for all the creatures that are dying. I guess there's tricks there.
Yeah,
but it's also
tricks.
like, that's a long way to go.
It's a stretch. It's really only good in Anafenza because Anafenza, of course, says none of your opponent's creatures go to the graveyard.
Oh yeah, they all go to exile.
Right.
Oh, so that doesn't... Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, it's you negate the downside with Anafenza.
Yeah, because the Oracle reading itself says, for example, a replacement effect that says if a creature would be put in a graveyard from the battlefield, exile it instead, won't affect whether a creature is destroyed or not, but will affect whether it's put into the graveyard or not. Right. And Hellfire checks the number of creatures put into the graveyard specifically, not the number of creatures destroyed. So yes, if you've got a Leyline of the Void, or you've got an Anaphenta, or something else that just obliterates creatures upon like arrival, that's still not as good as Damnation. I mean,
still not as good as Damnation. Exactly.
It's still not as good as Damnation. Still not as good as Toxic Deluge. But it's cute.
I mean, if you're looking for your, like your 7th or 8th board wipe,
then you're a monster.
and you have a Hellfire available
in your random pile of Legends cards.
Yeah, and your random pile of Legends cards, which I'm still checking. Oh, I just found out though, and I'm kind of glad I'm doing this. I just found out that all of my cards binders were put in upside down.
So when you shake them and all your cards fall out.
Yeah.
That'll be adorable.
That is great, isn't it? I really appreciate the way some of these cards had slid out of the binders and were therefore resting on the hard surface of my shelf. Oh. But I don't have any really old cards, Shivam. Oh, look, here's my Library of Alexandria.
What? I beg your pardon?
Yes, indeed. I have one Felwar stone from Chronicles in my binder, so I'll pull it now. Is that a Hellfires?
I love Felwar stone.
Oh, that's good. I do not have a Hellfire, so it looks like no Hellfire in my Anafenza deck.
How about Dacky B?
I do have a deck on Blackblade, but he doesn't fit in my Anafenza deck either.
I can't imagine why an Esper Lands Matter deck would fit into wouldn't fit into an Anafenza deck.
Esper Lands Matter. Now there is a phrase you don't hear very often.
Well, yeah, and it's like when you look at that card and realize just how ridiculous it is on every axis. Like, look at the flavor text on Dack and Blackblade.
Yeah,
it's just like what?
I have 4 Antiquities Ornithopters.
Oh, that's cool.
Sorry, only 3.
Oh, noob. But yes, Dacky B's flavor text. My power is as vast as the plains. My strength is that of the mountains. Each wave that crashes upon the shore of thunders like blood in my veins. Dack and Blackblade, memoirs. First off, Mr. Esper Landsmatter is writing memoirs talking about the mountains. Like, he couldn't throw a forest in there just to catch all of the land types. Like, this card makes no sense from flavor or color pie or anything. But it's also awesome.
Yeah, it ain't bad. Oh. Alright, well, that's too bad. No Hellfire for Phil. Oh, wait, here's one. Oh, let's see, here's a set. Priest of Yawgmoth, no. Oh! Banging that. Nope. I have an Abyss and an Underworld Dreams. And an All Hallows Eve.
What are you digging through? Treasure?
I have an Alpha Sinkhole here.
Okay.
And 2 Force Fields.
Oh my god. Force Field was one of the first cards I ever proxied.
Yeah. Oh, ever proxied?
Yeah, I printed it out on a dot matrix printer and then glued it on top of an island.
Whoa.
In like 1993 or 4 or something.
Yeah, look at that. Oh, wait, here's my Legends.
Right next to your Alpha Sinkhole.
No legendary, no Black Border Legends Dakon. I only have the
Chronicles.
Chronicles, but I do have a Jedit Ojanen just for you.
Jedit Ojanen
just for you.
is my beloved crawworm. Like,
Yep.
gotta be one of the most useless cards ever made. I don't care. I love that card.
If only he was as good as a Crawworm.
Yeah, he costs like 7 and 2 colors to play.
7, 2 colors, and he's a 5/5 instead of a 6/4 with.
Oh, he's not even a 6/4?
No.
He's like actively a miserable card.
Yes.
Like, because paying 7 mana for a vanilla is just not. That's not where you want to be in your life. That's where you ask yourself what mistakes you've made to get to this point.
He's no Casimir the Lone Wolf.
Those cards all suck. Like, I don't know what it is, but there's like 6 Legends cards that are good, and then there's a whole bunch of Legends that are just aggressively bad.
Yeah, just really terrible.
I mean, for every like guy who makes the Sand Warrior tokens, there's like 45 12 casting cost vanilla creatures that are like 2/3, or like Princess Lucretia, who for whatever reason is like a 6/6 that taps for a blue mana or something ridiculous like that.
But Hazezan Tamar
Is great.
is great, but that downside is pretty significant. You just
All
have
your
to make
warriors,
sure.
Die.
I built a deck with him. He might be up on our deck stats, but our recording is running.
Oh yeah, no, this is all gold, man.
Well, with all the swearing, so I better
There's gonna be a lot of bleeps. But as it happens, though, this week I've actually gone through and I've uploaded almost all of my decks to deck stats.
Awesome.
So I've been using the time to both catch up and make sure that all my decks are up to date, because I realized that my my Tajik deck hadn't been updated in like 2 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let me just go through and fix it. And in doing so, I was like, well, since I'm going to just re-upload it, I might as well re-upload all of them. And I did. So any listeners who want to go and actually look at my decks, by the time you hear this, all of them will be up there on deck stats under Commander and MTG in the Shivam folder.
Yep.
As up to date as possible. I still need to, I think, update my Titania deck. I uploaded an older list, but a bunch of things have changed. But like Hapatra's there, Grimgrin's there, Tajik is there, Brea is there. I'm just going to go through and put up all the random decks I've built.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and it's like, you know what? I should do this. And I did. And it's handy.
Hey, you know what?
We are Commanderin.
Mandarin. What is that? That's 24 minutes and 20 seconds in. 24, 20, start. All right, let's see.
I actually I like a lot of what we had.
Hopefully our editor will pick it up. Pick out the best and either make it a pre-roll, which should only be about 2 minutes at most, and maybe a post-roll where we can just roll with whatever we want.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of thinking like you could totally just go like, if you edit that, you could probably get like a good 10 minutes out of there and then just drop in the intro halfway through. It would be hilarious and good.
Just exactly where we did it. And, maybe that's how we start this episode.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I
like
it a lot, actually.
Thanks for listening, everybody, and thank you for joining us midstream. Midstream of consciousness.
Sometimes the gold is upriver.
Yep. I hope I wasn't too quiet while I was reaching for my binders. Shivam, we put a spotlight on community issues, but never ever talk about 3-band topics. And even in the pre-roll this time, we didn't, which turned into now show. We didn't talk about religion, politics, or Hearthstone. So A lot of people want to help the show out if they want to. The best way to do that is to share the podcast with your friends, because people love it when you share a podcast with them, because they're like, hey, I know this person and I want to listen to everything this person listens to. And obviously you're a commander and listener. And so that helps us all out. Get us in front of more people. It's great. You can also review us and give us a positive review, ideally, which gets us in front of more people. It's not even just, it's not just leaving a 5-star review or anything like that is like, that's very helpful. But going ahead and leaving a comment, that means that we are really engaged, and all of the podcast services enjoy that. So give us a review. You can also visit us on YouTube, where you should absolutely smash that subscribe and like button so that you get all the notifications whenever we post a video, like actually this show, right? Now it's kind of too bad we didn't have the cameras rolling so people could see me fumbling and bumping into things. And when you're at YouTube, just play us to the very end. Their algorithms, again, they're like, hey, they watch the whole thing. It must be good. Let's show it to more people. If you want to help us out materially and just, throw a buck a show at us, you can visit us at patreon.com/commanderandmtg or commanderandmtg.com/donations, or go to GoFundMe, search for Commander, and use the result that has the C logo on it, not our smiling friend Sean. It really helps us keep the lights on in, what did you call it? Podcastia.
That's where we live. Podcastia. I might have to write a theme song.
Yeah.
Our beloved Podcastia. Yeah, no, I don't have it yet.
No anthem?
I'm
Not
still
yet?
working on it.
Okay. We do have some sponsors, and those, of course, are our patrons. So each week we like to call out and thank 3 of our patronii by name. This week we actually have some folks we all know. Well, at least I know the first one. That's April Trovillon, and she is somebody I taught how to play Commander at one of my previous jobs, and she moved to Orlando to work on theme parks, and is still not only a player of Commander and Magic in general, but she's apparently a listener and now a patron. Thank you, April. Also joining us, Dana Roach, not to be confused with Dan Roach from the last time we talked about our patrons.
Legally
Dana Roach,
distinct.
Legally distinct Dana Roach of the EDH Recast. Dana is also in our Discord channel and just chats all the time. It's wonderful. We saved this one for last because it's a very special person we've had on the show a number of times. We want to welcome Sheldon Menery to our Podcastia patronii community. I ran out of alliterations there. Please forgive me. So thank you.
What would he know about Commander?
Right? I mean, but if he did know something, then, backing our show is probably
the way to go.
It's a smart choice.
Yeah, if Sheldon Menery were wanting to learn anything about Commander, this is definitely the place where he would find the latest and greatest information.
That's right. And maybe he's making a point of following all of the Commander Advisory Group members.
Oh boy, that's just what I need. It's like hastily written email. So I heard you were talking about me on the podcast that I now subscribe to. What makes you think that, Sheldon? Don't mind me. I'm just here unbanning Prophet Akruvix.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go now.
No one sane wants to do that.
Oh, man.
Well, I know, but I miss her so much, Shivam. I miss her so much.
I can't believe... I'm so miffed because I got the promo version and then it was banned like a week later. And I'm like, that's just...
Well, I sent you pictures of my Japanese foil prophets, right?
I love that card. It is nowhere near unbannable, though. It is like the most broken card imaginable.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Well, listeners, you've already heard a huge chunk of time. We have a wonderful show lined up for you this week. We're going to we are talking about an Aurelia deck submitted to us by Brian Canada. You might know Brian as The Cure for the Common Game on YouTube. He's the guy who has over 300 Commander decks. He's sent pictures of them to Twitter, and we'll tell you how to get hold of Brian a little bit later on Twitter. And we asked him to submit a deck because one other member of our community, one Josh Lee Kwai, and we all know he's the host of the Command Zone and Game Nights, of course, and he's got co-host Jimmy Wong and a bunch of special guests every week. Every episode of Game Nights. Well, the community selected for Josh to play Boros in the Ravnica Showdown they're going to do on Game Nights.
God. That's just... God, why would you do this? Why would you make...
Because it's going to be a blast.
Oh, my poor Boros.
Well, he's probably going to do, the most lethal Boros he can. And, that's what I would do if I were saddled with Boros in a big competition like that. And I would definitely make it Ravnica themed because it's the Ravnica Showdown. And so we asked Brian if he had an Aurelia deck, and lo and behold, he did. He's offering some comfort, if you will, and some inspiration, hopefully, to Josh.
And if not to Josh, definitely to me. There were a lot of really cool ideas in there
that
I had not thought about.
And we'll get to that, and there's actually going to be a video that we play, and so if listeners are consuming this through their ear holes, they maybe want to tune into the show and let us into your eye holes, your eye sockets. Let us in there. That's a little creepy, but we should keep that.
Yeah, I would not keep that one. I was about to say, I'm like, that's like, we need to stop with this holes in your body thing. I'm not a fan.
We just want to dig right into your eye sockets, listeners.
We use some spoon to pull them right out, gently poach them, crack them open over toast. Never again.
Eye jelly. So
All right,
more
so
stuff.
We're going to cut that whole chunk right out.
No. We should keep most of that. That's great. Our listeners are gonna just be looking at the speakers going, what is happening to Phil, and especially Shivam, because that was really creepy, Shivam.
Yeah.
So any Commander Advisory Group news yet? None? No, we haven't heard anything. Nothing. Oh, that's too bad. Well, be sure to let us know, and when you have something that you need our listeners to weigh in on, please don't hesitate to bring it up here. Of course you won't. I'm just saying that for our listeners' benefit, so we're sort of teasing when that'll happen. We have 2 Commander events coming up. One is at what's called OrcCon, one of the Strategicon series of conventions here in Los Angeles. That's February 15th to the 18th in 2019. Hopefully this will be out before then. So if you hear this, come play, listeners. We're definitely going to be there. I'm going to be there. I live in LA, so I'm going to be there. I'm going to be running a Commander event at 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. on Saturday and 2 p.m. on Sunday. It's a casual tournament type thing, and I give away t-shirts. So, we have some special t-shirts this time, but let's reveal that later. And then, of course, the big one, which is Magic Fest Los Angeles, March 1st through the 3rd, 2019, which is down at Staples Center, if I believe. And Shivam, you're going to be at that.
I'm going to do my best.
Yes.
If circumstances work out, I'm actually going to be coming down to the GP in Los Angeles, and it should be a good time. The last few ones have been... goodness, the last few GPLAs have been like transformative for me.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to this. I think it'll be great.
They are great. And listeners, if you've never been to what is now known as a Magic Fest, but we will continue to call GPs, if you've never been to a GP, it's wonderful. Make sure you get to GP Las Vegas.
Let me take a moment to tell all you guys. All of you friends out there who listen, you might have heard online that like, oh no, GPs are failing and the Magic Fest are failing, blah, blah, blah. No, the thing is, the tournament side may not be doing as well as we would like, but the casual side and the community side of things, these have been phenomenal events. People are going in droves to go and play with each other. They've been running out of room to do side events and to do commandery games and everything. They're great. Like, seriously, don't be deterred by what you're reading on social media. The Magic Fest and stuff are still fun. They're still worth your time. Meeting other Magic players is always good. And I highly, highly recommend you, if you can, if there's one in your neighborhood, it's worth your time.
It absolutely is. You need to go to it. Don't play in the main event. Just come hang with us.
If you're into that, do what you got to do. But really, go there to just hang out and play Magic with people who also want to be there for Magic. It's great.
Yeah. Good advice, Shivam. One of your friends wrote an article about us, didn't he?
Yeah, so my friend Jason Wilson, who is the editor-in-chief of the video game reviews website GamesBeat, wrote an article about how he just started getting into Magic because of me. Because we've been friends for a while, and at my birthday party every year, I always have like drafts and everything. And then Arena came out, and he was like, well, I guess I should see the thing that Shivam keeps talking about. And lo and behold, like 2 weeks later, he's like, so I got 3 boxes of Ricks and Dominaria and things, and you want to tell me what to do with this? And it's a really fun little article that we're going to throw up in the show notes, talking about his journey from a guy who had basically been a fantasy nerd his whole life, but never actually played Magic, to now somebody who's like grinding. And it's pretty great.
Yeah, that's really cool. That was really a nice article, and thank you, Jason Wilson, for the mention. It's wonderful, and Shivam is an excellent teacher, and maybe Shivam, we should run new Magic player classes at our local game stores.
I think that would be fun. It's all like I've been doing that at work. I've been teaching some of my co-hosts, coworkers, and friends how to play, and it has been wonderful. Like, I mean, I love seeing new people discover Magic because it reminds you of why we play and like the parts that we found fun. And then it also means that there's brand new people who haven't heard all your stories yet, and that's always a plus.
That's really cool. All right, and all this time we've been talking, the link to venturebeat.com with Jason Wilson's article has been up. And if you missed that for whatever reason, just rewind. But if you can't rewind for whatever reason, just search Jason Wilson Venture Beat Magic, and the article will come up. Also, listeners, as we record this, it is newly the Chinese New Year, the year of the pig in 2019. The next year of the pig is in 2031. So it would be really neat, and we're considering this a Commanderin achievement, if you can send us a picture of actual play in honor system here, so you don't just lay out all of these, but with 31, you have a game, a board state where you have created 31 boars, where you have 31 boars on the board. We don't care how you get it. 31 or greater is the number that you're looking for. So send us pictures, tweet them at us, and you have until February 19th. If this comes out after that, and hopefully you were following us on Twitter and you sent us a picture.
Wasn't there a spell in Theros that turns like everybody into pigs?
Yes. There is. There's Curse of the Swine, and then there's also there are multiple ways to create lots of boar tokens. So
Curse of the Swine was a great card. Curse of the Swine is a cool card.
Yeah, it is. Remember not to creak while you're talking.
Oops. Yes.
And 19 is too easy because you could just get that with like one card with a doubling season. So 31 seems like more of a challenge. So do that.
It definitely does.
We have teased this Aurelia episode long enough. Depending on how you're counting it, it's been dozens of minutes perhaps. So what we're going to do right now is this is a first time for us, so bear with us. We're going to play a video from Brian Canada. Again, he is Cure for the Common Game on YouTube. And on Twitter, he's at Cure_game. Now, let's play this video.
Hello, everybody. This is Brian Canada from Cure for the Common Game. And today we're going to talk about Aurelia the Warleader and trying to make Josh Lee Kwai a little more comfortable playing Boros. Hey, Josh, I was not one of the many who voted for you to play Boros, but you know what? The internet has spoken, and I'm proud, but I feel like we cannot fight what Boros is. They want us to play dudes and turn them sideways, so let's do it, and let's do it to the extreme. Aurelia here may seem a little much at 6 mana, but flying, vigilance, and haste. And here's the kicker. Whenever she attacks for the first time each turn, you untap all your creatures you control, and then you get an extra combat phase. So extra combat phase is kind of the theme that I went to. Relentless Assault was obviously the very first one that they ever printed. Fury of the Horde has that alternate play cost. Seize the Day does it, has flashback. Savage Beating. And heck, they're even still printing them as the Combat Celebrant. We've got it on a creature. Check out Waves of Aggression. I mean, every useless land that you draw after becomes an extra copy of it. It's just reusable. You want to talk about reusable combat steps? Let's look at the Hellkite Charger. Whenever it attacks, you can pay the 7 and get another one. Or just a good old-fashioned enchantment, Aggravated Assault. Aggravated Assault, I mean, you spend 5 mana, you get another combat step. And it does, this deck lends itself to the Josh Lee Kwai mentality. I mean, you get to play Soul Ring, Veldalken Ore, Maze of Ith, and of course Vandal Blast, because, you know, beauty is in the eye of the exploder. Mana Geyser, probably one of the best rituals ever if you just need to power up some, anything. If you need to power out your dragon or your assault, or even just Comet Storm the table, that works too. And because we are getting all of these extra combat steps, we're going to use creatures that key off of combat steps. Let's take a look at Tajik, Blade of the Legion. First off, he's indestructible. Whenever him and 2 other creatures attack, he gets +5/+5 till end of turn. So, I mean, we're going to be swinging with 3 creatures, right? So the very first time, he's a 7/7. But this is until end of turn. So each combat, he's going to get another +5 stacked on top of that. Firemane Avenger, kind of the same way. Whenever the Avenger and at least 2 others attack, deals 3 damage to a creature or player and you gain 3 life. So every combat step, you get this free lightning helix. That's beautiful. Even all the way down to like your 2-drops, a Crow and Hoplite. It gets +X, where X is the number of attacking creatures until end of turn. Now, of course, one of my personal favorite cards, Rogue's Passage, is going to, you know, kind of help it along here. Also, we get extra bonus points if we can turn Rogue's Passage into a creature and untap it. But anyway, this is just going to, the ability is just going to keep stacking. And if we want to keep stacking abilities, let's look at the Boros Titans, the Inferno Titan, dealing that 3 damage, and Sun Titan. You know how much stuff we can get back in one turn? Oh my gosh, the Sun Titan and the, fill in the blank. Look at the new card from the gift box, the Angelic Guardian. Oh, they're just going to gain indestructible to end of turn. And the Hellrider. Hellrider, whenever a creature you control attacks, Hellrider deals 1 damage to defending player. Wow, we're just going to have a ton of actual Hellrider triggers. And that's a ton of damage right there. Anyway, Josh, I'm proud that you got Boros, and I hope this helps ease your mind and, you know, just Boros it out. But I think right now, we will shuffle and cut.
Thanks for recording that, Brian. Shivam, that was really nice of Brian.
It really was. It was. I definitely learned a lot from this video, actually.
Yeah, short and sweet. We asked him to keep it to about 5 minutes, and he did. So he has many more cards in it, and hopefully we'll have a deck list up in our Commander and folder on deckstats.net before too long. But that was really nice to offer Josh advice and make it a little bit more comfortable for him to play Boros.
And I'll be honest, a lot of those things feel like they would make my Tajik deck actually legitimate. Like,
yeah, just the cards he highlighted alone, that makes the deck more effective, don't they?
Yeah, it turns out being able to have multiple attack steps with indestructible, like trampling armies are pretty good. That's pretty good.
Are you saying that if you can make your creatures indestructible and trampling, that they will do well?
You know, I've always believed that to be the case, but it turns out I might actually have just been forgetting that part of turn your card sideways. Make sure they don't die.
You know what you didn't forget, though, is soldiers. So Brian didn't go the soldier route. His commander is Aurelia the Warleader, who, if you have never faced an Aurelia deck, is terrifying. Just absolutely terrifying. 2 red, white for 6 total converted mana cost.
That is not a cheap cost.
It's not cheap, but she has flying, vigilance, and haste, is a 3/4, and whenever Aurelia the Warleader attacks for the first time each turn, untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase.
Jeez.
So,
and haste. So it's just like, hey, I'm just going to do this right now.
Just right now, we're doing it. And so she comes down, and for 6 mana, it's basically eliminate a player, win the game, right? Depending on how you time it. And it might be eliminate a player, and then the next turn you might have to spend 8 mana to do it, because she's getting removed.
Yeah. But you know what's filthy, though? If you stick a Helm of the Host on Aurelia...
Oh, God.
You know what's better than just one combat step? All the combat steps.
All the combat steps. Yeah. Because that does go infinite, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Each Aurelia
God.
counts as its own instance, man.
Oh. And each time you get a new Aurelia that has haste. Tee. That's very
real
funny.
dumb. It's real. Listeners, I'm trying not to say that. I understand that I do it too often. It's one of my verbal tics. But you cannot tell me that infinite attacking Aurelias is not really legitimately dumb.
And that's not even hyperbole, Shivam.
No, that's just like, oh no. This is bad.
Yep.
This is real bad.
Brian highlighted a few cards. He didn't highlight Helm of the Host, but we'll have to ask him if he's got that in the new version of the deck. One of the cards I haven't seen a lot of is Waves of Aggression. For 3 and a hybrid red, white for 5 converted mana total. It's a sorcery that says untap all creatures that attacked this turn. After this main phase, there is an additional combat phase followed by an additional main phase. So you're getting basically another whole main phase cycle here. The really cool part of this is you're like, yeah, whatever. There's, all sorts of sorceries that do that and effects. This one has retrace.
That's the part that totally got me. The fact that I'd seen this card vaguely when I was like just scanning over Boros cards or whatever. And I'd been like, oh, whatever, it gives you another combat phase. But retrace is nuts. Like,
yeah.
One of the things that I run into a lot when I'm playing Boros and when I'm playing Tajik and other red-whitish decks is that you'll get to a point with like land tax and with other effects like that you just have a grip full of lands that you've just been filtering out over time.
Yep.
And retrace is a really good way to actually get use out of them. But this is kind of ridiculous, right? Like, yep. I attack you. I'm going to play this from my graveyard with just retrace. And the trick about retrace that I forget all the time is that it's not a one and done. It's not a flashback. It's not you play this and it exiles itself. This is just as long as you've got lands in your hand, you could pitch a land and play the casting cost and play the retrace card again and again and again.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, that could be a problem. That could be a real problem.
If you combine it with some really janky tap effects with Aurelia the Warleader, right? Because Aurelia says untap all creatures you control. And so that's like, if you're playing this in a green deck and you have some mana dorks or artifact creatures that tap to do some sort of effect or anything like that.
It feels a little bit like the old Palancron tricks, right? Like, play all your things, untap all your lands. Whoops, does this land tap for more than 1 mana? So like, I mean, you can combo off with this card.
You really can. Yeah, so Waves of Aggression, remember, untaps all creatures that attacked this turn. It doesn't mean that it attacked in your last combat step. So if Aurelia gets an attack and everybody attacks with her. And then later you need to use some of them for tap-activated abilities. When you cast Waves of Aggression, maybe again, right, you actually get to untap all of them again. Because once a creature's attacked, it's attacked this turn.
There's got to be some kind of weird infinite combos you can do with this thing. Like, this just seems like it's set up for some real shenanigans.
Yeah. Draw effects, anything like if you draw cards when you attack or draw cards when you cause damage, you're going to end up with a few lands in your hand, so you get Waves of Aggression. You can do it again and again and again. It's great. Can't wait. Yeah. And so if you have experience with Waves of Aggression, listeners, please let us know.
Yeah, one of the things, though, about, like, that I've always been hesitant about these get extra attack phase things is that they almost always require the creature that is giving you that extra attack phase to attack. And I was always like, oh, man, you're just going to throw them out there and they're going to die, and you're only going to get, like, that effect once. But then I saw in the video Maze of Ith, and I was like, oh, my God. It dawned on me, like, I could just protect my guy who's giving me the infinite attacks. Just because Maze of Ith says untap target attacking creature. The idea of using that on my own creature never occurred to me. Maybe it did in 1994 or something. But, like, I love that. That is so silly. Just because, hey, I'm going to pull Combat Celebrant back. I'm going to pull Aurelia back. I'll attack to get the trigger, but then you guys go forward.
Yeah. Like, Aurelia still only has a 3/4 body, right? So she's not really going to kill a lot on her own. And so if you throw her up, throw her out there, and there's something like a Runescar Demon or something that's blocking, and then you just maze her out. And Maze's sister, the card Reconnaissance, the enchantment that for 0 you remove attacking creature from combat. Attacking creature you control from combat specifically. It has the Gust Cloak effect. That means, and it's white, so it goes right in Aurelia, and you're protecting Aurelia with these 2 cards. You're rarely using them to prevent what's coming toward you, because you're probably killing that player with your intense army.
Yeah, I mean, there's a point where, like, all these combat steps no longer really matter because you just kind of killed them.
Yeah, exactly. And he has your buddy Tajik the Original, the Blade of the Legion.
You know what, man? That guy is a secret Voltron commander. He's really good. And that trick of just stacking multiple attack triggers to get +5, +5, +5, +5. I, honest to God, did not think about that. And now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, why aren't all these cards in my deck? This needs to be. This is stupid.
Yeah, because it supports Tajik.
I love the idea of him just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
He gets swole. What
a lovely idea. Battalion with himself.
It has he also has a Crowan Hoplite in there. That's the one whenever it attacks, it gets +X/+0, where X is the number of attacking creatures you control. And it doesn't take a lot of attacking creatures with multiple combat steps for this thing to get huge.
No, that'll get real out of control really quickly.
Yeah. I mean, it might not be a Tajik, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, that is the one thing you do got to worry, because a lot of these creatures are, in fact, just glass cannons with giant stats. So you got to make sure that Boros Charm is in hand to protect all your units. Otherwise, this is going to end really quickly and not in your favor.
Yep. And he also highlighted Angelic Guardian, and that's the 6-mana angel that has flying, and whenever one or more creatures you control attack, they gain indestructible until end of turn. And it's a 5/5 whenever one or more creatures you control attack. So
why isn't this card in my, like, every white deck I run?
Well, I don't know, actually. 5/5 for 6 mana.
It turned out this was only released in that special gift pack. That was a Christmas gift pack. I'm going to have to go and find me one of these because, wow, that is huge. That's like such a saving grace for a Boros deck.
Yeah.
My goodness, that is something neat.
Yeah, it was in the M19 gift pack, and it's in something called something online called You Make the Cube. So
yeah, I do not know what that is.
I don't know either. Wow, that's pretty cool. Now, he has one other card that he highlighted called Hell Rider, and it's a 4 mana total. It's a red card with haste. It's a devil, 3/3 devil with haste. Whenever a creature you control attacks, Hell Rider deals 1 damage to defending player. Now, you pointed out, I was like, why is this card in there? And you like multiple attack steps, dude.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. If you've got an army and you've got like even 3 or 4 or 5 creatures out there, if you do 2 or 3 attack steps, 5 creatures times 2 attack steps is 10 points of damage.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
And if you're stacking attack steps, this thing will just end up like incidentally grinding everybody into nothing. It's like, it feels a little bit like an Orzhov tax, like just like needling you here and there, but all those ones add up really quick.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I was kind of poo-pooing this, listeners, before the show, and it took Shivam to kind of wake me up, especially in a token strategy, right? Like, this guy should probably be in your Tajic deck.
It's not I'm not going to put a devil into my soldiers deck. Come on.
I knew you were going to say that. I genuinely knew you were going to say that.
Look, my Tajic deck, the reason it's got so many flaws is because I've got a theme that I'm not breaking. If it's not a soldier or directly related to the army, it's not going in there. So no, thank you, Hellrider. However, in a tokens deck, that card gets really, really good because all these +1s just add. It turns out just having an extra 5 damage, 10 damage layered on top of what you're doing is a good way to just take huge chunks off of somebody's life.
I'm kind of afraid of your next iteration of Tajic now.
Oh no, I've got a lot of ideas. It's gonna become a much more combat focused deck, a much more like attack steps, man. This gets brutal. This gets really, really blendery.
Well, great. Thanks, Brian. You've just ruined basically the only opportunity I have to win against Shivam.
Yeah,
because
like
most of his other token swarms are brutal.
My super mild nothing burger deck. But the thing is that deck does win, and when it wins in quite oppressive fashion. It just takes a minute or 2 or 30 to get there.
Yeah, but with a Crow and Hoplite now, if you add a Crow and Hoplite, if it's not already in there, it's going to be fast.
Yeah,
like a Crow and Hoplite is like, just deal. You have to deal with a Crow and Hoplite now. It's a 2 mana 1/2 with the special ability, right?
I think one of the things that happened to me is that I was looking at like, oh, it only pumps 1 unit, but then I was like, again, same way. If that 1 unit's getting through, then punch him in the face. It's great.
Yeah. Like, what's the worst that can happen? It gets chumped with 2 tokens, right? And so your 2 mana card is just taking out 2 tokens, which isn't too bad. And the best that can happen is you give it trample in some way, and then now your opponent actually has to put something meaningful in front of it. And it's just, let me borrow a word, just dumb.
Touche.
Yeah. So, Brian, thank you. Listeners, you'll be hearing more from Brian in the future because he has 300 Commander decks. We'll be highlighting one of them every once in a while, maybe even every show if this is really popular. So let us know what you think. By all means, please tweet at us or contact us, and we'll tell you how to do that in a minute. You folks rock. Thank you for sticking it out with us this episode and for that very weird intro to the show. There may be some bleeping because when we don't think we're on mic, we're cursing a lot. So thanks for toughing it out with us. We'll see you at Magic Fest Los Angeles and maybe Strategicon. And we're going to have a really good time. And we're going to try to stream from Magic Fest Los Angeles, too. So we'll see what we can get going. And if you really like this show or maybe the last show, because this one was a little bit scattered, donate $1 a show. We would really appreciate it if you would please consider donating that because we can keep on improving the show. You can go to patreon.com/commander@mtg or commander@mtg.com/donations or go to GoFundMe and search for our show, Commander at MTG Podcast. Special thanks to our patrons, especially the ones we called out earlier in the episode. They already show their support. Thank you very much, folks. Without your continued support, we couldn't do this without you.
Mm-hmm.
And we are super grateful. You can reach us by going to our website, commanderandmtg.com. Our email is cast@commanderandmtg.com. You can find us on all of the social medias by searching for Commander and MTG Podcast. Our theme song was created for the podcast by Nate Burgess. Our logo was created for the podcast by Mr. Picto with assistance from Kelly DeLuca. You can find more art from Mr. Picto by going to mrpicto.co.uk. Special thanks to Tech Whizzes Jesse Thompson and Graham Frank, and to Justin for the server space. And special thanks to Mike Condon, editor of the Brothers War podcast, for the guitar version of our theme song. We're also making a few changes behind the scenes. We want to thank Tyler Webb for helping us change hosting services for the podcast. Tyler and his friend Chris host the Unformatted Review Show. It's an unfiltered, rambling look at a different movie every week where the only rule is there are no rules. I've listened to many of the episodes myself, and they're two good friends talking about movies. But be warned, they aren't family-friendly, so you probably don't want to play them around children or in stores like you do Commander in. Commander and MTG Podcast is unofficial fan content permitted under the fan content policy. It has not been approved or endorsed by Wizards. Portions of the materials used are property of Wizards of the Coast. Copyright Wizards of the Coast, LLC. Now, Shivam, since this was a Boros episode, you have to take us out. It's only just.
Attack! We use some spoon to pull them right out, gently poach them, and crack them open over toast.
Do 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 do. Looking up stuff on the internet. Boop boop boop, and then we'll come back in. Dum ba ba bum bum. Ba 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 ba. All right.
Dun, 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 dun.